Hello and welcome to Marketers Radio episode number 4. Now, in this episode, we're going to look into design and branding within your business and within your presence online. Now, obviously, we all know that design and branding is super important for any business, and of course, on this call tonight, we have Mark Salmon and myself, Chris Cole. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to discuss basically the importance of having design and branding and considering this within your business as you move forward. So, welcome to the call, Mark. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, Chris. Yeah, great to be on the call tonight.
Yeah, so design and branding, Mark. Basically, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to discuss just how important that is as an aspect within your business. Would you like to lead off and basically start the introduction to the content tonight?
Absolutely, Chris. This was mainly prompted by the fact that I recently read an ebook by John Rees, and for those that don't know John Rees, he's a highly successful internet marketer. I think that he was one of the first marketers actually to have $1 million launch, and nowadays he does a lot of consulting and makes multi-millions just from consulting. And his ebook was called The Brutal Truth. And the first section in the ebook basically said, mediocre graphics no longer cut it. It said you must use beautiful, top-notch design, no exceptions. And he basically goes on to say that the days of ugly websites are over. That basically the days of ugly websites making a lot of money are over. And he says, yes, there are some exceptions, but he has data that doesn't lie. And basically, he says that if you're making money from an ugly web page and so on, then over the course of time, he can foresee that conversions will gradually reduce. So he says now that design now really matters a lot, and if your business doesn't have awesome design, you're at a huge disadvantage. And I thought it was worth talking tonight about design, Chris, because this is an aspect of our businesses that has developed over time, and our design skills have developed over time. And I thought that we ought to discuss some of the options that are now available for online businesses. And really, so what we want to talk about tonight is the branding of your business, the design of your websites and all your marketing material, and of course the graphics. And so really, Chris, so perhaps we should talk first about why we think that branding and design is important. And do you want to sort of just talk a little bit about that, Chris?
Well, branding itself in your business, it's for brand recognition or for yourself as a brand in recognition. If you come up with a specific logo or a specific set of colors, then people are going to recognize this. They're going to know that it's you. Even with your logo, if you have a specific logo, and if you use this throughout, if you're consistent with your branding and use this throughout your business, then basically people will know your product straight away. And you can think of even the Coca-Cola symbol and all these major brands. They basically have this to a T. They understand that people can see that logo or can see that design. It's normally quite simple. It's quite striking, or it's quite, it's easily recognized. As soon as people see this, they know that. Additionally, it also helps the know, like, and trust factor once people see this brand throughout all these products. Now, if you're known for delivering quality, obviously the quality is going to appear as well within your design. And this, you can basically carry this the whole way through your business. So when people either hit one of your web pages, or they even hit your a Facebook page or a Facebook group or one of your other social profiles, they'll instantly recognize that it's you. They'll get to know, obviously, who you are, and you can be sort of quite consistent through your business. And people actually quite like that, if all the truth be known.
I mean, one of the real things that really sparked there, Chris, for me was the perception that, if you've got a poorly designed, web page or presentation, or website, then that also may reflect on the quality of your information or the product that you're producing. In other words, the packaging is extremely important in terms of, how you perceive the business or the product or the person, is still very, very important. And I think the point that John Rees is making, that nowadays access to design is now relatively cheap and easy, compared to what it used to be, where you had to sort of like employ a design agency and so on, just was out of the reach of most businesses. But nowadays you can access beautiful, beautiful designs for relatively little money, and therefore, because great design is becoming more and more the norm, if you have a poor design, then you're going to really stand out in terms of, being out of step with everybody else. And I suppose it really again reflects on your credibility as a business, that if you're trying to put yourself forward as somebody who's at the top of their industry, top of their game, and so on, and you've got poor design, then the two just don't gel, and people will smell a rat, really. And so there is no excuse nowadays for poor design. And as we go on in this session today, we can talk, Chris, about how we see some of the options. Obviously there are so many options on the internet, it would be impossible to talk about them all. And we're not branding or design experts either, are we, Chris?
No, but I think, Mark, that we both understand that we need to consider this, and you need to consider design and branding from the outset of it, and it needs to be consistent through everything that you integrate within your business. Because if your design or branding looks amateur, even though your service or your business may be totally professional and top level, is that people will go by the design and branding, and they'll basically say, well, it's an amateur design, well then I'm going to get an amateur service, or these guys don't really know what they're doing. So you've got to basically sell from every aspect, and your design is a major selling point, no matter what business you are operating in, either online or in a real sort of traditional business. Your design and branding has to be consistent, it has to be top level. People are sold by their visual elements just as much as they are by what they read and hear. So design is so important with business nowadays.
Yeah, and the saying is you don't judge a book by its cover, but of course we all do. And because often it's those subconscious, almost subconscious elements that actually influence our decision. And so obviously we're not talking about branding in terms of necessarily becoming a Coca-Cola or one of the top brands, but nevertheless, over a period of time, you can build brand recognition, and so that when people see one of your products, they can instantly recognize that would be part of your product set or product range. And we even now we can see products, Chris. I know instantly when I go onto a page that that's such and such actually marketers design. I can instantly recognize in quite a few cases now that I can recognize that they're using the same designers or the same kind of design, and you become recognized for that design. And some of the marketers have very, very simple designs, and you can recognize it from that point of view. So yes, as I say, I think going forward, design is becoming more and more critical. And so let's talk about some of the options, Chris, for how our listeners can access great design. If, for example, you really have no design skills or branding skills yourself, how do you really go about doing this, or building a brand or building a design for your business, Chris? Shall we talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Well, the first thing that you can do if you're wanting to integrate design into your business and you're not necessarily a designer or can do it yourself, the most obvious thing and probably the cheapest, fastest route is to outsource this. You can basically, there's plenty of services and sites online, and we're going to mention some of these services at the moment. But you can outsource your design and branding, and if you're, what would you say, clear enough within your brief, or you give the designer enough information for them to go and work from, well then they can go off once you pay them the fee. They'll come back to you, submit the design, and generally most designers will revise the design and work with you until such time that you basically agree on the design, and then of course they'll submit the final graphics for you, and you get what you pay for in a certain element. Now, of course, what you can also do is you can look at buying stock photos or going to even there's free sites online that allow you to use free photos, but the stock photos generally are higher quality. The photographers have specifically set out, and there is a difference with stock photos if you're going to use these. Now, there's going to be a few sites where you would look at the stock photos, Graphic River, you're looking at Dreams Time, big stock photo, and then of course, as I said, there's free resources. There's the likes of Pixabay and Flickr.
Yeah.
Now, with the free resources, well, actually, with all of the sites, you're going to have to spend time and navigate through. You're going to have a rough idea. But generally, with the paid resources, you're going to find what you're after a lot quicker than you will do with the free sites. So that's one option is stock photos. Have you any other options,
Yeah, I
Mark?
think you've mentioned there one of my favourite sites, Chris, which is graphicriver.net. And in fact, my salmon logo came from Graphic River, and it cost me $29. But for that, I've got a high quality design for my logo, and so it doesn't have to be expensive. And yet there is a massive choice on a site like that. And obviously, but the very fact that you've bought it compared to, say, a free site gives you a little bit more exclusivity, and usually, as you quite rightly said, Chris, you get better quality. So Graphic River, I think, is a great tip for anybody listening. Go and have a look at that. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at the quantity of graphics and the quality of the graphics on a site like that, and just how cheaply you can immediately brand your business. So so let's go on, Chris, and talk about some of the other outsourcing sites.
Well, I was just going to mention while you're talking about Graphic River, there's a series of interconnected sites that are owned by the same people. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
And if you hold an account with Graphic River, it also allows you to access other sites. One of them we're going to mention later on.
Yeah.
You have Video Hive, you have Graphic River, you have Theme Forest, and all of these different sites. So basically these sites, once you upload funds into your account with these sites, then that balance will port across, and they are very useful sites, and it is well worth your time. Basically, going create an account of one of these sites and then logging into each of the other sites with the same login details and having a look around, because just the sheer amount of resources that's up there, it really is a fantastic account to have, and I use it quite often myself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great tip, Chris. So, and of course, at the cheaper end, if you want to outsource something like a logo or a header, then many people will go across to Fiverr. I think Fiverr is a little bit hit and miss. Some people get a great result. Others not so great. So you pays your money and takes your choice, really. But so Fiverr.com, that's Fiverr.com, is a possibility. Another possibility, there's some great designers on the Warrior Forum, the Warriors for Hire section. You can often find some good designers there. And there's one that's affiliated to ClickBank, which I think is a GFX. Chris, is it GFX?
GFX Designs. He's basically he's a graphic designer that a lot of sort of internet marketer guys will use.
Yes,
Believe his first name's Steve,
yes,
although I'm not 100% sure. And his designs are very distinctive. They're very nice. I've seen different guys and I've asked them who's done your graphics. Normally they've bought a package from Steve at GFX, and he's definitely a great resource for outsourcing, in my opinion.
yes.
And then the final one, or it's not actually a final one, but another one is the 99designs.com, where basically you go and submit your job, or you go and submit what you're after. Different designers will basically design before you pay anything. They'll come up with their design and submit this to you within a set time period, and you can then either pick one yourself or have people voting on basically which one they like the best. And then obviously one of the designers is basically going to win your commission, and then they're going to go off and sort of design the final product for you. So, 99designs.com is definitely another site well worth recommending.
Yeah, and there are other sites, Chris, where you can basically put your design up to as a competition for a lot of designers to basically quote for, and they basically come up with a design, and you pick the winner, the one that you like the best. And you know, if you put sort of web design contest or competition into Google, it'll bring up a number of sites. One I looked at was web.designcrowd.co.uk/contests, and you know, the top designer on that has earned on that site through competitions has earned well over $500,000. I don't know over what time period, but you know, there is big money that these designers can make from these sites. But you know, when I looked at the actual sort of project size and the amount of the projects, they were sort of in the $300 to $500 range, and this was for, you know, designing a complete website or homepage. And so, you know, one of the top tips there would be to actually look at the you know, the top designers on the site, and even go direct to that designer and ask him to create the design for you. So, you know, getting top design, great design, is not difficult or expensive nowadays because of the internet, really. And you know, I think the final point I'd like to make about outsourcing, and this was an argument we had on a previous Marketers Radio, Chris, was whether you should do it yourself or outsource. And, you know, Chris, you rightly pointed out that, you know, in order to, you can't do everything in your own business. You can't expect to do everything because it's going to hold you back in terms of growing your business. And therefore, if you're going to grow your business, this is probably one of the areas that you probably going to have to outsource, unless, of course, you've got special skills yourself in this area. So, you know, outsourcing is a great option in terms of freeing you up to go and do other things that you may have, you know, more aptitude and more skills at completing. So, outsourcing is a great option.
Yeah, well, as I said, you know, I'm especially when you're trying to do things to a certain time period. Generally, your tasks can overrun, and if you also take on the burden of doing your graphical design, you're going to come up with something that maybe isn't as good as a proper designer is going to be. B, you're going to hold yourself up, and you're going to put, basically impose a delay or give yourself undue stress. And you know, the next section is you're better off relief off your mind is just outsource it in plenty of time. Hand this over to somebody whose skill set is for design. Let them do it, and you can. In our industry, you can, if you're a content creator, you can basically settle down and become the content creator that you are, and let the other people do the design and possibly, you know, the outsourcing side of things. You outsource this, and then that way you're going to get a top quality job or a top quality design, and you're not going to have to stress or lose time over doing it, apart from placing the order for the content.
And the basic thing here, Chris, is that a good designer can do something 10 times faster than somebody that's, you know, trying to hack it themselves. And not only that, they'll come up with a better design anyway than you can, spending 10 times longer. So basically, you've really got to work smart. And I have to say, I have, from a personal point of view, I haven't followed my own advice here. I've tried to master this skill as well. Not a great idea. It has slowed me down. I know it slowed me down. And I'll just want to quickly get on to some of the graphical editors that if you were to go it yourself, and why I ended up at Photoshop. I didn't start out with Photoshop. I started out with a free copy of Fireworks, which was bundled, that's Macromedia Fireworks, which was bundled with some other software, and I basically started fiddling around with that, and started to build a little bit of skill with Fireworks. And there are other free editors like GIMP and Paint.net, but I never got into those graphical editors. And one day I bought some graphics off the Warrior Forum which had a Photoshop action or a smart object, and that's got me interested in Photoshop, because these actions and smart objects are sort of semi-automated ways of creating really, really awesome graphics. And I acquired Photoshop and started to work with these smart objects and actions, and I have to say that it's sort of an area that particularly interests me. But in terms of being a money maker, or it's probably not smart for me to be spending time in this area. I just do it because I enjoy it. But so there are all sorts of free editors and premium editors, but if you're going to really be serious about graphics, I think at the moment, for me, it would have to be Photoshop. It's a complicated piece of software to use. It's expensive to buy, but by golly, it's powerful, really powerful, because you've got, as I say, you've got all these semi-automated actions and smart objects that you can buy them for a matter of $5, $4, $7, and they'll create graphics that if you outsource them, may cost you $20, $50, $100 actually. So, but actually, the time taken to learn something like Photoshop will probably never recoup, and for you then to go on and create graphics with it will probably never recoup the cost of actually outsourcing it. So outsourcing still remains probably the best option for 95% of marketers and online businessmen. Wouldn't you say so, Chris?
Definitely, and that takes me back to sort of what would started out in the introduction as to why branding. No matter what product or what business or what service you have, your design and branding is all down to perception, and obviously how people perceive your business and the quality level. So basically, if you look at many different internet marketing products, even information products online, Mark, the guys that have basically cracked the design and branding nut, their products perceived to be of a higher value, is perceived to be delivering more value. Therefore, they can charge a higher premium for similar content purely because of how the product is perceived. And not only that, but the guys that are selling the products are also perceived as the bigger vendors or the big time gurus, because these guys have or know the secret that design is a visual element. It's all down to perception and how people perceive either the product, perceive you, or perceive what they're getting in their hands. Even though at the end of the day, every single digital product is just a series of files hiding behind the graphics. So graphics and design for your business is of the utmost importance in my opinion. And if you're going to go to create some product where you're going to sell or look to make money either from yourself or your business service or whatever, pay the money, get your design done, get it done early, have it, and one thing that Mark and I like to do is we like to pick a sort of theme, especially with our products. There'll be no more than about three different colors with our products, and that's going to be a consistent color the whole way through. That's going to be from the sales page. It's going to be, within the actual PDF reports. It's going to follow through into the members area. It's just going to be everywhere, and basically it's going to be consistent right throughout the pages. And that's because we basically come up with the design and the concept at the start. We wanted it to look quality. We've obviously chose the colors. We've sort of said, right, this is the design for this particular product, and it really does help sell them, in my opinion. It's all down to perception, and obviously you've got to follow that up with quality content. But it helps. It really, really does help sell and helps you get more sales by spending that little bit of effort and time and getting the good graphics in place.
And talking about sort of color selection, which is extremely important, Chris, there are all sorts of sites that have matching color palettes where they've matched various color palettes together. The other great tip here is when you come across a website that really stands out for you as having great design, there's nothing to stop you from copying that particular overall color design. When I was on this site, this contest site that I mentioned earlier, the top designer, when I looked at all his projects, Chris, most of them were in sort of blues and whites. Most of the designs, and that they were the winning designs. So there was, when you looked at these competition pages, you could see what the majority of people thought was a great design in terms of the colors and so on. So it doesn't have to be rocket science. We're talking here about swiping ideas from other people and using them in your own design. So these
Really,
color yeah, go on,
really
Chris.
what you say is you want to be design aware of other people around you and look at what you like with other designs and elements within this design, and sort of in a way reverse engineered. Look at the color combinations that they've used. Look at the sort of how the logo's laid out and how their overall design's laid out, and then obviously without ripping it off completely, if it's something you like, look to see how you can take that across and use that within your business as well.
Yeah. When I see a color that I like, Chris, on a site, I've got a little free tool called Get Color. That's COLOR in the American spelling, Get Color, and it's just a little free utility that you can use the little sort of dropper to just place over a color, and it'll tell you the hexadecimal code for that color, and so you know immediately what the color is and how you can match it. So that's, as I say, a free little utility called Get Color.
Now, one of the other things that I wanted, or we wanted to talk about as well, Mark, when you're talking about design and branding, it's maybe not always just down to the actual physical graphics. You've also got the likes of your WordPress theme that you're going to use, and then where or how you're going to integrate these colors and integrate these graphics. The WordPress themes is basically what is the template that allows you to either lay your content out, or to lay your page out, or even to lay your complete site out. And there are a lot of great WordPress themes out there that are free, and they're also premium websites, or premium themes, sorry. And it's up to you to decide if you want to go the free route or go with a premium theme. Now, I'm a believer, and I'm sure you are as well, Mark, of going down the route of owning the rights and licenses to premium themes. I use them quite a lot, and you do as well, Mark, don't you?
Yeah, I think this is an area that you shouldn't skimp on, because for the reasons we've mentioned before, that perception is everything, and generally with these premium themes, they're maintained and supported well, but they also have very high sort of design sort of qualities, really, and they have to compete, basically. So I would definitely, this is not an area that I would skimp on when I was setting up my business or my website. because as we've just said, perception is everything. And John Rees said it in The Brutal Truth. You just cannot get away with poor design nowadays. So I definitely would go the premium route. And for quite a long time, optimized press was one of the key themes. I'm talking about version 1.0, Chris, where you would see that theme or design across just about every membership site you came across, didn't you?
It became the sort of standard design for a membership site when Optimized Press 1 came out.
Yes.
And then what actually happened was, because it was so well received onto the market, there were basically cloned versions or rip-off versions that came out. There was even versions that came out with different functionality added into it, where people could see, I can tweak this basically a little bit and make this my own version. And it basically, all of the sort of web pages and everything had very, very similar layouts, and it became a sort of standard.
Yeah.
People basically expected this, and I mean high level of standard as well, and people expected this high level of standard. And this basically advanced in the design and obviously the layout as well. And that's another thing as well. When you think back to how web pages were, in the late 90s and the early 2000s, the basic HTML pages compared to how they are nowadays, the design difference is just unbelievable. And people expect this high level of sort of standard and quality, and you get that with these premium themes. Now, since then, Optimized Press has had to keep up with the demands within the market. And they knew and understood that basically people wanted more flexibility with their design. They also wanted higher quality with the design. They wanted to be able to customize their own design, but they also wanted to be able to create a stunning looking design. And Optimized Press 2.0 was basically born and came onto the market to meet sort of more current trends. And that's my go-to theme of choice. I use that for, as you mentioned, membership sites. I use that for my personal blog at the moment. I use that in a lot of different places. Now, what would be your preference?
Well, I think the big thing about Optimized Press was it was riding on the back of a new wave, which is these sort of page builder softwares. In other words, in the past, we've been, in terms of building a page, unless you had a special template in your theme, you had to sort of try and construct something within a blank sort of page template. And nowadays, the new technology that's come along is this page builder, where you can virtually create any sort of design you want in terms of building boxes on the page and columns, and adding various shortcode items in and features into the page. And it really, I would say, the last 12 to 18 months, Chris, these page builders have really come to the fore. And of course, that's been integrated, that technology has been integrated into Optimized Press. And Optimized Press is currently at sort of a $297 purchase, which is, quite a hefty purchase for some businesses. And certainly, I didn't go I've got Optimized Press 1.0, but I stopped at Optimized Press 2.0 because somebody said that at the time that the sort of the page builder was a bit clunky, and I just held back. And so I own a number of page builders, including the Thrive Content Builder by Shane Millar. But my theme that I use is, I can't remember the name of it, Chris, but it does have a page builder built into it. But really what I'm saying here is that underlying technology of the page builder is changing design quite radically. And yes.
I was going to say, the great thing I like about the likes of these content builders and the likes of Optimized Press,
yes,
they've basically taken web design and web pages from a sort of linear style page to it's a sort of, you can now operate sideways. You have the functionality with these themes to literally drag and drop things about. change your mind, move things up to the, and if you want to create a separate column to the side in just a certain section of your page, well then you create that and then drag your content across. So you can go sideways as well as the sort of linear within the page, because the older style was you basically stack things within your page. You
Yeah,
had an element, and then below that was your next element, and below that. Whereas these content builders now allow you to also have elements going sideways as well as stacked on top of one another, and that functionality alone basically allows for a lot of sort of for you to get creative and to be coming up with a lot of stunning designs, in my opinion. Now, one of the things I would like to say, Optimize Press 2, I own that. When I first purchased that particular theme, as you mentioned about the live editor, I hated it. I came across from Optimize Press 1, I dropped into Optimize Press 2, and because it was such a radical difference, it was basically it's a completely new concept. But from the designers of Optimize Press, I didn't like it. I found it slow. I found it awkward and clunky. But I did persevere with it. I have now learned it, and I can create some pretty stunning and very effective pages using this page builder element. And I understand now, and I actually love the theme, but it took me a while. It grew on me. It
yeah,
basically grew on me, and that's one of the things I'd like to mention about Optimize Press.
absolutely. Oh, I wouldn't disagree with you, Chris. The finished product is stunning, and the pages are often instantly recognizable as being optimized press. So the sort of the design quality and so on is definitely there. So it remains a great option. But you know, the competition is hot on the heels of optimized press, and you know, there are now quite a lot of themes that look like optimized press, and they obviously sell for a much lower price. But having said that, you know, optimized press isn't just about the design, because it's got all sorts of other features like membership software and so on added into it, doesn't it, Chris? So it's not just about
It
the
has a
theme.
lot,
Yeah,
a lot of different elements you can add into your page. Basically, the way I would look at it is Optimize Press 2.0 is the one that has set the standard.
yeah,
It has set the standard for design, for quality, for functionality, and all of these other themes are either sort of having to raise their game to come to this standard or to try and better this standard. But the reason that standard's there is because people demand that standard, people expect that standard, and you as a business, if you basically provide that standard on your website, it's all going back to the perception again. As you spend the money and have the perception where people see your website and say, yes, this is obviously a quality looking web page. They've put a lot of time and effort into this. The branding and whatnot is current or concurrent right throughout the site, and basically people can see that this is a quality site, and that perception helps you make sales as well.
yeah. Now, one of the other sort of technologies that's driven design, Chris, is responsiveness as well, isn't it, Chris? And what we're talking about here is having the web page, being able to resize according to the size of the screen. And that's particularly important because nowadays people are viewing websites on, you know, mobile smartphones, iPads, notepads, as well as sort of desktop computers. So nowadays, a lot of the design is also driven by responsive technology. It's called responsive technology, and you know, again, that's built into Optimize Press. But nowadays, is really a standard that you must be looking for in terms of your theme, because I think they talk about perhaps 50% of internet traffic is now done over, you know, smartphones and mobile devices. So you know, having your web page resized to the size of the device that people are viewing on is extremely and becoming more and more important. And obviously you don't want your design to be completely mucked up because somebody's viewing it on a smartphone. So responsive design is another area of technology that you must really look for. And we've been talking a lot about optimized press, Chris, but if that's beyond your budget, then by all means go across to, and this is another one of the companies that we were talking about earlier. It's the Envato group of companies, but this site, themeforest.net, has a massive number of really high quality themes, which I think most of the premium themes, top themes, they retail for about $58, but you're going to get a stunning design for that.
Yeah. Theme Forest, I have actually purchased themes myself from there. And like you said, that's basically a site where designers submit their designs or submit their themes. You can browse a full version of that WordPress theme. You can see the different styles of pages and the different sort of styles of content layout. And if you can sort of imagine your business, your design, whatever, within this sort of content framework, and you see one that you like, then basically you go to themeforest.net and you pay to access this theme, and you can then use this theme for the structure of putting your website on. And I would highly recommend ThemeForest myself as well.
Yeah, it's a great option, and as you say, I've bought quite a few themes from ThemeForest as well, Chris. Particularly when I've been doing client work and so on. You really want to impress, so you've sort of you can go there and find something that really is stunning. And one of the other sort of recent innovations has been by a company called Lead Pages, Chris. Lead Pages basically create sort of landing pages, squeeze pages, sales pages, but they're sort of theme templates. And a lot of marketers have chosen to go with Lead Pages. I think it's a relatively expensive option, but they would justify it in terms of the results these pages will produce for them in terms of sales conversions. And so Lead Pages is a monthly payment option, isn't it, Chris? Do you know anything about Lead Pages?
From what I can see, there's 3 different monthly levels. They either have basic, sort of pro and expert, or whatever they call their different levels. And I believe it's about $37 for the basic. I believe it's about $67 for the medium level, and then the pro, I think, is just below $100 a month. Now, that's all well and good. Obviously, you need to be generating that income and that turnover within your month, or within a month, to cover that cost. The additional thing you've got to bear in mind is once you start this monthly subscription and you have different lead pages online, you're going to have to upkeep that subscription. So you're kind of tied in. It's a bit like your autoresponder. You have to keep it to keep your business functioning. Whereas, again, I'm referring back to Optimized Press. A lot of the pages and a lot of the functionality that's within Lead Pages can be done with a combination of Optimized Press, Google Analytics, and a sort of bit of creativity as well. So you don't necessarily need these. So that's why I'm such a big fan of Optimized Press, because there's so much flexibility in there. Now that brings us on, Mark. Yesterday there was a launch of a brand new sort of what they're referring to as an Optimized Press killer, or an Optimized Press / lead pages replacement. Would you like to talk about that?
Absolutely. The reason we're quite excited about it, Chris, is that it is a combination of, or it looks like a combination of, Optimized Press and Lead Pages, all for a very low price. At the launch, we're talking less than $50, and basically it has all this technology, responsive technology. It has page builders, but it also has page templates similar to Lead Pages. And so, when you talk about innovations in the industry, here we have somebody who's looked at what's available on the market and produced something that works well for a very low cost. And so, whenever something like Optimized Press or Lead Pages come along, you can be sure that there's somebody hot on their heels to innovate a better or a cheaper or a faster solution. And so, you know,
sorry, Mark. Let me just. Sorry, just as you were talking, I was going to the Profit Builder website.
Okay, great. As
you can hear, there's autoplay videos coming in, so I apologise for that. I was trying to do that discreetly in the background, but the screen didn't happen. You just heard some of the sort of videos on the Profit Builder website because you were discussing the features, and I was just wanting to check in case we missed anything on the web page. Carry on where you were.
Well, it's basically been produced by a very good internet marketer called Sean Donahoe, and he's, you know, he is a respected member of the community. So we can expect that it's a plug-in, isn't it, Chris? And I think he's also offering a very high-quality theme with it as well. But, you know, the initial indications are that this looks like, you know, the sort of something that's well worth looking at if you're looking for, you know, a sort of a good solution along the lines of Optimized Press or Lead Pages. Obviously, it may not have all the features that Optimized Press has or that Lead Pages has, but it's certainly, for the price that he's asking, is well worth looking at. Because I think we've already purchased it, haven't we, Chris?
Yes, we have indeed. Just apologise if there's another video plays here. I'm just landing onto their sales page because I want to see what the yes, I'll just hit pause. I want to see what their current sales price is and what their options are.
Yes.
For purchasing this theme. This theme in a lot of ways looks very, very like the similar pages that you get with Optimized Press. There's probably a few extra elements and tweaks that can be done with WP Profit Builder, and I believe that there's a few extra functions. Just let me see what price they're currently selling this at, because it's just launched, and at the moment, now that these prices may change depending on when you're listening back to the video, they're offering a developer license pack which allows you unlimited personal and client sites for $47.67, and their multi-site pack, which is 10 personal sites only, is $47. So this is a launch special price, and we got in at this price. It really is a fantastic offer because, if you recall, Mark mentioned like Optimized Press 2.0 is around $300 for a very similar theme. So this honestly is a steal. Now, the elements that they're claiming here for this, you get all page templates and layouts in this package. You get a drag and drop builder, which they're saying is intuitive and easy to use live editor. They also have an exclusive theme, which is an optional theme. Autoresponder integration, and it'll integrate with all major autoresponders as well, Mark.
And find that sort of Google will bring it out for free or something. You know, it's
at the moment it really is a steal in our opinion. Now, it's also, as we're talking about for design and branding, it's also high quality, and if you want to integrate this high quality within your business, well, then you can't go wrong with going with a premium WordPress theme. And at the moment, value for money wise, WP Profit Builder, in our opinion, is something that you should look at getting your hands on.
Yeah. And will you add a link to that, Chris, within the video or below the video, so that
I can do that on the fly as we're in the call, Mark. So if you want to carry on talking, I'll look at doing that.
Okay, well, obviously it's early days with WP Profit Builder, but The fact that a lot of the top internet marketing gurus are recommending it. As we say, it's been created by a recognized name in our industry, and we can instantly recognize that it has the design qualities of an optimized press and of lead pages. Obviously, Sean has looked at those two products and swiped ideas from them in order to come up with this new product. And I've no doubt that there will be more innovations. In fact, I think Sean is talking about, at the moment there are something like 55 page templates that you get with the theme. He's talking about producing a lot more templates as he develops the product out. So I can only see this product getting better and better over a period of time. And certainly, I wished I'd got this theme at the outset of creating my site, but we are going to use it on future membership sites and products that we create, if only to test the product out, because it does look really good, doesn't it, Chris?
It certainly does. As I said, we have it purchased, and we haven't actually put it to test just yet, to be honest, but it will be being integrated into our business. And from what we can see, it basically it's an optimized press alternative, basically, at such a cheaper amount at the moment.
Yes, well, and just to sort of close off, Chris, we've got another product launching next Monday. We've built that on optimized press because obviously WP Profit Builder has only just been launched. So, and this product is almost ready to run. The product's called Productivity Made Simple, and we'll be talking about that in a future episode of Marketers Radio. So, just to sort of really wrap up our session a bit, I think the basic thrust of this session has been that both myself and Chris do regard design, and obviously John Rees does, design as critically important nowadays. And, if your design is not up to scratch, it will impact on the perceived quality, value of your products and of your business, basically because, as we've said, good top quality design is nowadays relatively inexpensive to access. So there really is absolutely no excuse for a business nowadays to be running with an ugly website and ugly pages. And as John Rees said, that over a period of time, your business will suffer as a result if you do have bad design. So, I think we're just going to sort of wrap it up by saying we've talked about some of the, the wrinkles, some of the tips that you can sort of access some of these resources. Take a look for yourself, make your own decision. There are lots of options there, but we've talked about some of the premium options that are used by the gurus in our internet marketing space, and so we can highly recommend these products. Is there anything else you want to say, Chris?
What I was going to say was, for anybody that's actually just listened to the raw audio, to check out WP Profit Builder, go to marketersradio.com/WP Profit Builder. That's it. Just marketersradio.com/WP Profit Builder, and that will take you across. Likewise, if you're listening to this show and you want to come across and see the show notes and find any of the links that we've referred to, well, then it's going to be marketersradio.com/004 for the page and everything, and the show notes is going to be embedded for this particular episode. So that's just wanted to get that out for anybody that was interested in coming across to the site, Mark. Basically, I hope that tonight or this session has been helpful for anybody, and basically they will now understand that how important design and branding is for their overall business, how people are going to perceive them and obviously their products on the marketplace, and They basically understand that they're going to have to either spend a little bit of money or spend a good bit of time and come up with a good theme, a good design, and then integrate this into their business everywhere that they possibly can. Basically takes you to another level. Basically, it takes your whole business to another level when you look at integrating these different designs and these different elements by doing that, in my opinion.
Absolutely, Chris. And I think probably on that note, we'll call it a wrap and say thank you for listening. And we look forward to bringing you further episodes of Marketers Radio in future weeks.
I totally agree. I totally agree. That's us. We'll sign off here, Mark, and obviously we'll speak to the guys next week in the next show, Marketers Radio.
Yeah, cheers.